Hey guys, it's Gabby. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be filming my December wrap-up. So sorry that this video is like really late. Since my last video, I've gained about 800 subscribers, which is like absolutely insane to me. And I hit 2,000 subscribers, which is huge for me. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much and hello to all the new people watching. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So in the month of December 2016, I read a total of 9 books, which was 5 novels, 2 nonfiction audiobooks, and 2 audiobooks of regular novels. Just jump right into it. First book I read in December was You Know Me Well by LaCour and David Levithan. I give this book 2.5 out of 5 stars. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It was just okay in my opinion. It follows this boy named Mark who's in love with his best friend named Ryan, and then he becomes friends with this girl named Katie who falls for this girl named Violet. Mark and Katie kind of become friends like instantly, as if insta love, but like in a friendship. Like they become like die-hard best friends in like a night. Also, I just thought that the characters were very forgettable, and I felt like I might be a little too old for this book. Like the way it was written, it was very like high school, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I just felt like maybe I would have enjoyed this book more if I was like 15, but the writing style was just kind of like The second book I read this month was The Silent Waters by Brittainy Cherry, and this is the 3rd book in her new adult romance Elements series. It follows Maggie and Brooks, and Maggie witnesses something horrible when she's like a little girl, and it silences her, so now she's like mute and she doesn't talk. Brooks is her childhood crush and her best friend from her childhood. Really love Maggie's relationship with her dad in this book. It's one of my favorite father-daughter relationships. It just felt so genuine and real, and I like adored her and her dad. I love the way he would always tell her the world keeps spinning because your heartbeat exists. I just thought like they were so cute, and I love the way that Maggie is like a hardcore reader. They have all these amazing quotes about being a reader in this book. Reading was both a gift and a curse for me. Those books made me able to escape into a world I'd never experienced, but at the same time they reminded me of all the things I'd been missing. My personal favorite is, all this time I thought you were reading to escape the world, but now I know you didn't read to escape it, you read to discover it. Love all those quotes about reading, and I think they're so beautiful and so accurate, and just for that alone I really appreciate this book. Some parts towards the end felt a little too convenient for like the storyline. Like, I don't know, it just felt a little bit too forced, maybe, this like where the story was going. But I did really enjoy this book, and it's just another notch on Brittainy Cherry's belt. Like, honestly, she's such a great writer. The next book I read this month was Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick, and I ended up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't like love it, but I enjoyed it a lot. It follows this guy named Pat who recently got out of a mental hospital, and he meets this girl named Tiffany who is also mentally unstable. Pat is honestly one of like the most weirdest, oddest characters I've ever read about, I think. But this is honestly one of those rare scenarios where I actually prefer the movie over the book. The movie is like one of my favorite movies ever, and that's like the main reason why I wanted to pick up this book. But the one thing I do really love though about this book is Pat's optimism and his hope for like a better life, even though his life has been shit and his wife is like divorcing him and he's getting out of a mental hospital. You know, like you would think he'd be at the bottom, but he's very optimistic and very hopeful. Part of what adds to his like charm and his character, so I really did enjoy that, but I would still recommend the movie over the book. 4th book I read in December was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and I wanted to say thank you so much to Stephanie Sprinkle on YouTube for recommending me this book, because I freaking loved it, and I never would have even known about it if you never recommended it to me, so thank you so much. This is definitely my favorite book of the month and one of my favorite books of the year. It follows Josh and Lucy, who both work in an office and they hate each other, so it's like an office romance. Such a cute like romantic comedy. Kind of reminds me a lot of like Rainbow Rowell and her style of writing, but just with a little bit more edge to it, like a more adult style of writing. I just loved all their like bickering back and forth in the office, and I loved how their hate for each other turned into love in like the cutest way. It wasn't like a cheesy, ridiculous, unrealistic thing, you know, like it was really cute and like a slow progression and all the feels. I strongly recommend it if you're looking for a really cute rom-com to just like lift your spirits, then definitely read this book. It's so freaking cute. I can't say enough good things about it. The 5th book I read in December was The Girl with the Lower Back Tattoo by Amy Schumer. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars, and I really loved it. I thought it was freaking hilarious. I love Amy Schumer's stand-up comedy, but I wasn't a huge fan of her movie Trainwreck, so I wasn't sure what to think going into this one. Definitely enjoyed it a lot. I mean, there's a ton of hilarious sex jokes, as you would expect. There's also a surprising amount of like really touching stories from like her childhood, things that happen in her relationships that are like really heartbreaking. Like she goes into a lot of like domestic violence and abusive relationships that she was involved in, and growing up with her dad who had MS. There's a lot of like very touching stories, but I do think it's a very important book for young women to read because it's very feminist and it sends a good message about being independent and not needing anybody else to like live your life, you know. And I think it does have a very beautiful message, and I laughed out loud so many times while I was reading this. It was very surprising and very good. I liked it a lot. The sixth book I read in December was Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick, and I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars as well. And thank you so much to Touchstone Books for sending me a copy of this book. I super hella appreciate it. I love Anna Kendrick. I love her in The Accountant, Pitch Perfect, 50/50, End of Watch, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, just everything I've seen her in, I love her in. I think she's one of my favorite actresses. I just really adore her. And this book is just so funny and relatable, and I love how like awkward of a person she is. I love her stories about growing up in Maine with her brother, and they lived about 6 hours outside of New York City, so she would have to like bus it all the way to New York for Broadway auditions all the time at a very young age, which I think is very crazy and entertaining. Loved hearing stories about all the behind the scenes of the movies. Like I'm such a movie fan, so it's like it's really cool to see the actual behind the scenes of what happens, and you know it's not as glamorous as you would think it is on a movie set. And honestly, if you're a fan of Anna Kendrick, I know you would love this book. It's hilarious and it's touching, and it's honestly my favorite memoir that I've read this year, so highly recommend it. It's pretty awesome. The seventh book I've read this month was The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina, and I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. This is an adult thriller. It follows Anne and Marco, who leave their 6-month-old baby in their house when they go to a dinner party next door, and then when they come back, the baby is gone. And this book just follows a lot of super fucked up characters. This is like next level. It's like Gone Girl all over again. Everybody's fucked up. I was really surprised at the amount of plot twists that occurred, especially towards the end of the book. I was like blown away and like really surprised and appreciative of that. The ending of this book was so amazing, and it left me with goosebumps, and like my mouth was like hanging open like because I couldn't even believe the last like final words of this book. I was like, holy shit, it was just so good. Everything I want in a thriller, and this is definitely a new favorite thriller of mine. I highly recommend it. If you enjoy thrillers, check this one out. The eighth book I read this month was Just the Sexiest Man Alive by Julie James, and I ended up giving this one 2 out of 5 stars. I got recommended this book on Goodreads because I've been saying how I want to read a book that involves an actor as one of the lead characters, and this book it's a new adult romance that follows this girl who's a lawyer and then this guy who's like a huge successful actor, and he's gonna be shadowing her for his next movie role that's gonna be a lawyer. This book was so incredibly cheesy. Like the romance was just so like cringeworthy in my opinion, and it's probably because I read so much new adult romance that I just have higher expectations now. I don't know. This guy Jason Andrews is like the biggest holy grail shit in this book. Like he's basically the Ryan Gosling of this universe, I guess. It's like I totally understand it, you know, but I hate when the main character's so like, I'm not like those other girls, I don't like him, and then she's like, but he looks so good in his suit. It's just like I hate that ridiculous cliche style of writing. Like, just admit to yourself that he's attractive. Who cares? So I didn't really enjoy this one. It was a little bit too dramatic for my taste. And the ninth book I read in December was Summer Lost by Ali Condi, and I ended up giving this one 3 out of 5 stars. This book is a middle grade book that follows characters who are both 12 years old. Cedar Lee is a young girl, and her dad and her brother recently just died, and then Leo Bishop is this local kid who introduces her to the Summer Lost Festival in their town. I had no idea what this book was about going into it. Like, I saw the audiobook in my library's thing to rent, and I was like, that's a beautiful cover, so I just downloaded it. I didn't even know it was a middle grade book until I started reading it. At the end of the day, I thought it was okay. I mean, it was written very beautifully, which I was surprised by, but I just didn't personally connect with the characters, and I wasn't invested in the story. But other than that, I do think it was a beautifully written book, and if you do like middle grade books, then I think this would be one that's worth checking out. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of December. This month was awesome, and thank you so much for everybody who's been watching my best of the year and worst of the year videos. I'll put the links in the description if you want to check those out, but those are the most viewed videos on my whole channel now, so I really appreciate everybody's watching them. And yeah, I'm still gonna have a couple of other 2016 type videos that are coming out within these next 2 weeks, probably. Be looking for those soon. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching as always. I really hella appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. The 7th book that I read in December is The Couple Next Door by Sherry LaPena.